Hello there, Firewood friends. It's Mike with K&L Firewood, and today is going to be the last episode of showing you guys how we cut things to length here in our wood yard. Now, you know I've adopted the Chris in the wood yard approach, but I don't use zip ties. I use a piece of heavy-duty electrical wire. I'll show you that. It's holding up really well. I've got it on the 400 and I've got it on the 391. Before I did that, I watched Adam over at Hometown Acres, and he made a makeshift magnet that sticks on your bar for like $6. So I went to Lowe's and I bought all the stuff and I made it, and it fell apart. I don't know, after 25 times. The glue wasn't strong enough, and I got some of that heavy-duty Gorilla epoxy. It wasn't the cheap stuff. Anyway, so I bought this. It's called Cut Rite. And it's a, I'll show you the saw here in a minute too, but it's got one of these air chucks on it. You take off one of the bar nuts and they give you one that's threaded the same way, but it's the male end of this, so it just fits right on. I'll show you that here in just a second. Been using that for a while. It's set up on the MS210, so I put it on there because I didn't have the 391 or the 400 or the 500 before I had this, and this is kind of a little bit expensive. This is, I think, 40 bucks. It works good. I just don't have it on all my saws. And then I bought the ever popular Perfect Stick, which I honestly haven't used yet. So this is going to be the first time. Okay, here's up close at the Cut Rite apparatus. So you obviously have two bar nuts on here. You take the, I don't know that it said the front or the back, but I took the front one off. There's a small washer that sets in here. This is threaded just like these bar nuts. It threads right on there. Use the back side of the scrunch to tighten this down because it's a little smaller in diameter. And then that's the male end, and it fits on like that. And then this piece, I'm not sure what kind of plastic this is or polymer, but it's real flexible, but it's got lots of memory. So it goes right back to wherever you put it, and I don't think it would break. It's not very brittle. They do send you two of them in case one breaks, so you could replace one, I suppose, but I have not had one break on me yet. All right, I'm gonna get the saw fired up, let it warm up for a second, and use the Cut Rite for a couple cuts, and we will measure those and move on to the next method. Now this is the end piece, and I did measure from the straight part. So it's 15 7/8, pretty close. That one's 16 on the money. 15 5/8 there, maybe a little slanted, but that's I'm sure that's has to do with me and not the device. Here's a close-up of the 391 with the heavy-duty electrical wire. Same way I've got the 400 set up. Same idea as Chris in the wood yard, but this is a heavy-duty electrical wire. You can kind of bend it out of the way if you're doing some other sawing, or you can use it as a measuring device, which seems to be pretty accurate. What I didn't like about the zip ties is that I carry all my saws around in an empty IBC tote. It's kind of my carry-all, but I carry it with my forks. And when all those saws were kind of scrunched together, the one that had the zip ties on it that I was trying Of course, it was scrunched up and the zip ties were all bent over. When I went out to get them, the zip ties had a lot of memory in them in that crimped position. So I could never straighten them out. So I took those off pretty quickly. If you had a place to store your saws where those zip ties weren't up against anything and weren't bent, then it's probably just a fine method. I even tried multiple. Chris said, well, that's why I use 3. Well, I even tried 3 and still no luck. So I went to the heavy duty electrical wire and it seems to work for me. One difference, I guess, between the Cut Rite and the electrical wire is that the electrical wire is on the other side of the saw. Where the Cut Rite is on the bar side, this measuring device is on the handle side. I don't know if that really matters one way or the other, but it is a difference. All right, this is the makeshift heavy-duty electrical wire. 15 5/8 at that spot. 15 3/4 at that spot. I'm good with that. Really, I am. You do have to, seems like maybe eyeball that one a little more. And when you go over to put your, if you're cutting from right to left, you put your bar on the cut end and then you're eyeballing over here. And when you go over to put your bar here and pull the trigger, it does jump a little, maybe one way or the other. So maybe if you feather that trigger in real slow to start it to bite and then cut through, it might be a little more accurate. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Now we're going to use the perfect stick. See how that works out. But if we go from long end, we're right on the money, 16. That one's 15 and a half. And one of these jumped on me like I was telling you about. On those bigger saws, if you just pull the trigger too hard, the bar will jump on you a little bit. So you just kind of have to feather your trigger and make a nice easy cut and then go on down to your next one. And that one is 16 on the money. So what I cut here, maybe 7 or 8 pieces. All of them were within a ½ inch. So let's talk about advantages, disadvantages, likes, dislikes. My favorite, we'll leave that to the end. The advantage of the perfect stick, you can use it on either side of the bar. So you can work from right to left or left to right. Disadvantage to that one, and it might be to all of them, is the fact that you kind of have to feather your trigger, at least I do, when you put your measuring disc up on the end and you make your cut. You've got to feather that trigger or the saw has a tendency to jump. The other thing is getting it true with the other end of the cut. If I'm gonna exaggerate here, but if the end of the log is like this and you make a cut and then your cut's like this, that piece is going to be cattywampus. So you got to try to make your cuts even. I suppose that's a disadvantage on all of them. It's orange, you're not going to lose it. It's fairly inexpensive, 20 bucks I think, 25 bucks maybe with shipping. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I like it. The ProsSizer, you've seen that. Handy gadget, quality build, probably the most expensive outside of building an entire bucking table and marking it. It does have advantages as well. You don't have to take it off the bar. It's always on the saw. You do have to charge the battery, so you have to remember to do that. It's got that same compound angle disadvantage if your bar isn't exactly perpendicular with the cut you've already made and you go cut on your dot, it's going to be off. But like I say, that's going to be a disadvantage on all of them. But that's a cool tool. That's 60 bucks ish plus shipping. And then the Cut Rite. That's probably my favorite, but it does have some disadvantages. Number one, it's attached to that MS210, and I'm not sure, I haven't tried to take it off and put it on another saw and see if it's still 16 inches. There's probably a little bit of difference because I know there's that small saw runs a smaller chain than the big, so there's going to be a little bit of fudge factor there, at least if there's not more offset between the bar nut and the bar on a bigger saw. I don't know if that distance gets bigger as the saw gets bigger. I don't know. Those are the ways we do it. Of course, tape measure and chalk, we've done that. We've all done that. We've all started there. That's super slow. I sometimes get the kids out here and have them do that just because it's something for them to do and it's kind of fun. As an everyday way of measuring, no, I'm not using the tape measure and chalk. Oh, and I guess the other option that I use probably most often is the electrical wire. That seems to work for us. I've been using that for several months now on both the 391 and the 400, and I think it works just fine. So in order, I would probably have to say the Cut Rite, electrical wire, ProsSizer, and then the Perfect Stick. And I'm not putting the table in there as one of those because it would be a clear favorite just because it's a back saver. Even though I rank them 1 through 4, they're all pretty darn close as far as accuracy and favorites. The one disadvantage that sticks out in my mind about that Perfect Stick is that you got to put it on and off the saw all the time. But at any rate, that's that. And a little update on the winter inventory. It is 70 degrees today, pretty windy, but 70 feels awesome. Extended forecast is the lows are going to be in the mid 40s. So I'm shutting the boiler down this week. I've got the equivalent of one IBC tote up there by the boiler. I'll probably burn all that out over the course of the week and then be done with it. I've got 11 totes left. We started with 41. I thought we'd use somewhere, I think I said between 20 and 25. So 41 minus 11 is 30. And I gave one to Rick. So I would have 12 here. So that would have been 29 that we used. So a little heavier than I anticipated in use. And the winter didn't really start until February. So I think I was obviously short on my estimate because I used more than I thought I would. And I don't think the winter was quite as long. So, and it's nice right now in, you know, the
tail end of March here. Sometimes the tail end of March can be pretty nasty and into April. So I better shoot for 40 totes next year, which is good because I've got these 11 and I got a bunch over there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 IBCs and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of those half bladders full of cookies. So I'm well on my way to 40. I made a comment to Richie's Outdoors the other day too. I don't get cherry very often, and I've got 5 cherry logs here. They're not very big. 1, 2, 3, 4 back there, 5 on the ground. Not very big, but I'll take them. You guys, that's going to be it for today. I will put a link in the description for the Cut Rite and the Perfect Stick. You are on your own for coming up with designs of your own bucking table and the electrical wire. I'll also put another link in this description for the ProsSizer. Cut your stuff to length, guys. It matters. Don't beat yourself up over it. It can be anywhere between 15 and 17. Be happy with that and move on. Thanks for coming by today, guys. I appreciate it. Get out, enjoy this nice weather. I hope it's nice where you are. Got a nice look at the things that we use to cut our stuff to length. If you haven't subscribed, think about hitting that button, hit the like button, tell a friend. We'll see y'all next week. You guys, I really got to get busy. This stuff will not split itself.